Well, with fewer people driving these days, there are fewer accidents, and now more insurance companies are giving refunds as a result. Sharice Gibson is working remotely and has more.
And Karen, majority of the national insurance companies who announced they are giving refunds or reductions say they will refund between 15 and 20%. So we just learned the nation's largest insurer, State Farm, along with Progressive, had joined the list of those who will refund money back to their customers. On its website, State Farm announced they plan to return $2 billion to mutual auto policy holders who had policies in place from March 20th to May 31st. And Progressive, they announced they will return $1 billion back to their customers as a result of fewer claims. Insurers like Allstate, Liberty Mutual, and Geico say they plan to issue a 15% refund on monthly premiums in April and May. USAA also announced they will issue a 20% credit. Now, while Baton Rouge-based insurance company Go Auto announced they will reduce monthly premium payments during this pandemic, this reduction in payments will last through the end of May and could possibly be extended if the statewide shelter-in-place order is also extended. Now, if we didn't list your automotive company, you may want to give them a call about a reduction in pay, or you can just visit our website, wwltv.com, where we have a list of the insurers that are participating in that rate reduction.